I stood at the back of that church watching my mother walk down the aisle in a white dress, and the world just stopped making sense. My mother, my husband, their wedding day. Do you think you know betrayal? Do you think you understand what it means to have your heart ripped right out of your chest while it's still beating? Let me tell you something. You don't know a thing until you've watched the two people you trusted most in this world destroy you and then invite you to witness their victory. This is the story of how I died without my body ever touching the ground, how I came back from that death, and how I made sure they paid for every lie, every stolen kiss, every whispered promise they made while plotting to take everything from me. My name is Zora Imani, and this is the truth about what happens when love turns into poison. Before we continue, please write in the comments what state you're watching this from, and if this is your first time on this channel, please subscribe. Your support helps us bring even more epic, real-life revenge stories. Enjoy the listening. 3 months before that wedding, I was still living in the thick of ignorance. You know what they say, ignorance is bliss. They're right, because the moment awareness creeps in, the moment you start to see the cracks in your perfect life, there's no turning back. It started small, so small that I told myself I was imagining things. Kwame stopped touching me. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't like he woke up one morning and decided to treat me like a stranger. It was gradual, subtle, the kind of thing that makes you question your own sanity because you can't pinpoint exactly when everything changed. He used to grab my waist when I walked past him in our kitchen in Buckhead. He'd hold me close when we watched TV, his fingers tracing lazy circles on my shoulder. He used to kiss me goodnight like he meant it, like I was the only woman in the world who mattered. But then the touches stopped. The kisses became quick, obligatory pecks, empty. His eyes slid past me instead of lingering on me, and when I tried to initiate intimacy, he made excuses. I'm tired, Zora. Got an early pitch meeting tomorrow. Not tonight. I told myself it was stress. His high-end architectural firm was taking on bigger projects. He was working late more often. He came home exhausted. That was normal, right? That's what I kept repeating to myself. But then there was the phone. Lord, that phone became a third person in our marriage. He'd be sitting across from me at dinner, and his phone would buzz. His whole face would light up. That smile I hadn't seen in months would spread across his features. He'd grab that phone so fast, typing, completely forgetting I existed. "Who is it?" I asked one night, trying to sound casual. "Just a client," he said without looking up. "Must be a funny client. You're smiling." His eyes snapped to mine then, and something cold passed through them. Can't I smile anymore? For God's sake, Zora, you're getting paranoid. Paranoid. He made me feel crazy, like I was the problem for noticing that my husband had stopped seeing me. I started watching him closer after that, the way he took the phone everywhere, even the bathroom, how he angled the screen away so I couldn't see when he was texting, the way he changed his passcode. I knew because I tried to use his phone once when mine died, and the old code didn't work anymore. "Did you change the password?" I asked him. "Yeah, for security. A coworker got hacked." A reasonable explanation, but my stomach twisted anyway. Then my mother started showing up more often. Aisha Sterling, my 52-year-old mother, gorgeous and sharp, who still turned heads when she entered a room. She'd always been attractive, but she was my mother, you know. I never thought anything beyond that. She started dropping by the house 2-3 times a week, always with some excuse. "I was in the neighborhood. I brought you some of that homemade sweet potato pie. Just wanted to check on my baby girl." At first, I loved her visits. My father had passed away 4 years ago, and I knew she felt lonely in that big house in the West End. I was happy to see her, happy to keep her company. We'd sit in the living room having coffee, talking about everything and nothing. But then I started noticing things. The way she laughed louder when Kwame walked into the room, how she'd touch her hair, smooth her dress, the way her eyes followed him around the room, and the way he lingered when greeting her, his hand on her shoulder, for an extra instant. "Your mother's here again," Kwame said one afternoon, but there was no annoyance in his voice. If anything, he sounded pleased. "Is that a problem?" I asked. No, I enjoy Aisha. She's great company." Something in the way he said her first name made my skin crawl. I started confiding in my mother about Kwame's changes, how distant he'd become, how cold. I needed someone to talk to, and she was my mother. Who else could I trust? "Oh, baby," she'd say, patting my hand. "Men go through phases. Your daddy was the same sometimes. Give him space. Be patient. He'll come back to you." I believed her. I truly sat there and believed her as she looked me in the eye and told me to be patient with the man she was sleeping with. The closeness between them started to become more obvious. They had inside jokes I wasn't a part of. They exchanged glances across the room that lasted a second too long. Once, I walked into the kitchen and found them standing really close, and they jumped apart like I'd caught them doing something wrong. "What's going on?" I asked. "Nothing," my mother said too quickly. "I was just telling Kwame about this amazing soul food spot downtown. Y'all should go." "We should all go together," I said, watching their faces. "Oh, I wouldn't want to intrude on your date night," Aisha said. But something flashed in her eyes. Disappointment. Annoyance. I shut it down. I shut down the ugly thoughts trying to surface. This was my mother, the woman who gave birth to me, who raised me, who held me when I cried. She wouldn't. She couldn't. But the alarms were ringing so loud now I couldn't ignore them anymore. One Wednesday afternoon, I came home early from my job at the publishing house. My boss had sent me home because I'd been fighting a migraine all day. I pulled into the garage at 2 o'clock, 4 hours earlier than usual. I was fumbling for my keys when I heard Kwame's car. I turned, shocked. He wasn't supposed to be home until 7. The car pulled into the garage, and my heart started hammering. Not because I thought I was going to catch him doing something wrong, but it was something else. A primal instinct warning me that what was about to happen would change everything. Kwame got out of the driver's side, and then the passenger door opened. My mother stepped out. Time slowed down. I watched her emerge from my husband's car in the middle of a weekday afternoon, and every excuse, every rationalization I'd been making for months shattered into dust. "Zora," my mother said, her voice too high. "Baby, what are you doing home?" What was I doing home? I lived here. "I have a migraine," I said slowly. "What are you two doing here?" "I was just passing through the area," Aisha said, smoothing her skirt. She was wearing a fitted red dress I'd never seen before, her makeup perfectly applied, her hair styled. "I thought I'd stop by to see you, and I ran into Kwame in the driveway. We came up together." The lie was so fluid, so rehearsed, but it made no sense. "You ran into him in the driveway? Oh, he just got here. I meant I saw him pulling up as I was walking up." She corrected herself quickly. "And your car?" Just a fraction of a second, but I caught it. "I took a rideshare. Had them drop me off around the corner. Felt like walking." Kwame finally spoke. "Zora, what is with the cross-examination? Your mother came to visit. Why are you acting so weird?" Weird? He made me feel weird for asking basic questions. "I'm not acting weird, I'm just confused." "Well, don't be," he said, walking past me to unlock the door. "Your mother is always welcome here." My mother followed him inside. I stood there for a moment, my head throbbing, my stomach churning. Something was profoundly wrong. All my instincts were screaming at me, but I followed them in because what else could I do? They sat in the living room chatting while I went upstairs to take a headache pill. When I came back down, my mother was laughing at something Kwame said, her hand resting on his knee. She snatched it back the moment she saw me. "I should go," Aisha said, standing up. "So you can rest, darling." She kissed me on the cheek, and I smelled her perfume. Sweet, expensive, the same scent my father used to buy her for their anniversary. After she left, I confronted Kwame. "Why were you really with my mother?" "I told you I ran into her." "That's not true." "Are you calling me a liar?" "I'm asking you to tell me the truth." He stood up, his face hardening. "You know what your problem is, Zora. You're paranoid, you're insecure, and frankly, it's exhausting. Your mother is a lovely woman who likes to visit her daughter. Stop turning everything into a conspiracy." He walked out of the room, leaving me standing there, feeling like I was losing my mind. That night, I called my best friend Simone. We'd known each other since college, and she was the only person I could fully trust. "Simone, something is wrong," I said, my voice shaking. "I think Kwame is cheating on me." "What? Why do you think that?" I told her everything, the distance, the phone, the smiles, the secrecy, and then I told her about finding him with my mother. Silence on the other end. "Simone, I'm here. It's just Zora. That's concerning. But it's your mom. Maybe she really was just visiting." "Then why did they lie? Why didn't their story add up?" "I don't know, sis, but keep watching. Maybe keep a log of when your mother visits. See if there's a pattern." Keep watching. Like I was a detective in my own marriage. But that's what I did. I started logging when he called my mother, when she visited, when Kwame worked late, and a pattern emerged that turned my stomach. Every time Kwame claimed he had a late meeting, my mother was unreachable. Every time my mother claimed she had plans with her civic club, Kwame came home late. I was building a case against the two people I loved most in the world, and I hated myself for it. 2 weeks later, I came home from work on a Friday afternoon. The moment I opened the door, I smelled it. My mother's expensive perfume, dense and unmistakable, hung heavy in the air. I stood in the foyer. My briefcase slipped from my fingers. I couldn't breathe. She had been here. While I was at work, my mother had been in my house. I walked through the rooms like a ghost, following that scent. It led me upstairs to my bedroom. My bedroom. My hands were trembling as I opened the door. Everything looked normal at first, the bed made, the blinds drawn. But that perfume was stronger here, mixed with something else, something muskier. I walked up to the bed, pulled back the sheets. Nothing. Then I lifted the pillows. Red lipstick, a perfect smear on the white pillowcase. My mother's signature shade, passion red. My legs gave out. I sat down on the edge of the bed, staring at that lipstick stain, and something inside me snapped. My mother, in my bed, with my husband. I don't know how long I sat there. It could have been minutes. It could have been hours. Time no longer meant anything. When Kwame came home that night, I was still sitting there, the pillowcase clutched in my hands. "What are you doing?" he asked from the doorway. I looked up at him. I really looked at this man I had married 6 years ago, this man I had built a life with, this man who was destroying me piece by piece. "Whose lipstick is this?" His face went blank. "What?" "This lipstick. On our pillow. Whose is it?" "I don't know. Maybe it's yours. It's not my color. Try again." "Then I don't know, Zora. Maybe it was there before. Maybe our maid doesn't wear makeup. Try again." He stared at me, and I watched him calculate, deciding whether to keep lying or invent a better story. "Maybe it belongs to a friend who dropped by," he finally said. "What friend? Why are you acting like a lunatic?" "Because I'm not a lunatic," I screamed, standing up. "I know something is going on. I know you're lying to me, and I know my mother was here today." Something flickered across his face, fear, or maybe anger, but he covered it quickly. "Your mother drops by sometimes. So what?" "Does she drop by to sleep in our bed?" "That's disgusting, Zora. It's your mother. How can you even suggest?" "Then explain the lipstick." "I can't explain what I don't know." We stood there facing each other, and I saw a stranger. The man I married was gone. In his place was someone who could look me in the eye and lie without flinching. "I want the truth," I said, my voice low. "Whatever it is, just tell me. I can handle the truth. I can't handle this constant mind game." For a moment, just a moment, I thought he might confess. His mouth opened, his eyes softened, and I thought, finally. But then he shook his head. "There's nothing to tell. You're stressed. You're imagining things. Maybe you should talk to someone, a therapist or something." He walked out of the room, and I was left alone with that lipstick-stained pillowcase and the terrifying knowledge that my life was a lie. I became someone I didn't recognize, a spy in my own life. I started going through Kwame's pockets, looking in his car, trying to find proof of what I already knew in my gut. But he was careful, very careful. Then, one night, 3 weeks after finding the lipstick, Kwame announced he had a late meeting with a client. "Might be out until 10 or 11, he said, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "Don't wait up for me." I watched him from the bed. He looked good, too good for a business meeting. His best suit, cologne, hair perfectly laid. "Which client?" I asked. "The Morrison account, big commercial project downtown." He kissed me on the forehead, a cold, obligatory gesture, and left. I waited 10 minutes, then grabbed my keys and followed him. My heart raced as I kept my distance, watching his taillights ahead of me. He didn't go downtown toward his office. He headed north, toward the exclusive part of town. He pulled into the parking garage of the Grand View Hotel. I parked across the street, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. I watched him get out, straighten his jacket, and stand there waiting. 5 minutes later, another car pulled up, a silver Mercedes. A woman got out. She was wearing a long coat, heels, her hair up. I couldn't see her face from that distance, but I saw what happened next. She walked straight to Kwame. He smiled. That smile I remembered from when we were dating, full of warmth and desire. And then she kissed him. Not a friendly peck, a real kiss. His hands on her waist, her arms around his neck. I think I stopped breathing. They pulled apart, said something, and walked into the hotel together, his hand on the small of her back. A familiarity, like they'd done it 100 times before. I sat in my car, shaking, tears streaming down my face. Part of me wanted to storm into that hotel, catch them, scream, rage, and make a scene. But another part of me, the part that was already plotting, already thinking ahead, knew I needed more than this. I needed to know who she was. I needed to understand the full scope of their treachery. So I drove home and cried until I had no tears left. The next morning, Kwame came home at 6 a.m. I pretended to be asleep. He showered, washing away the evidence, and then slid into bed beside me as if nothing had happened. "How was the meeting?" I asked, my eyes still closed. "Brutal," he lied. "But we landed the contract." Lie after lie after lie. I spent the next week in agony. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't focus at work. Simone kept calling, but I didn't dare tell her what I'd seen. Saying it out loud would make it real. My mother called too. "Baby, I haven't heard from you. Is everything okay?" Her voice was sweet, concerned, motherly. I almost broke down and confessed that I thought Kwame was cheating, but something stopped me. An instinct that whispered, "Don't trust her." "I'm fine, Mom, just busy with work." "Oh, good. Listen, I was thinking we should do lunch this week, just girls. It's been too long since we really caught up." "Sure, Mom. I'll call you." I never did. I waited, I watched, I looked for an opening. It came 2 days later. Kwame left his phone on the bathroom sink while he was in the shower. He'd done that before, but it was always locked, always shielded. This time, I picked it up, and the screen was lit up, still unlocked from whatever he'd been doing earlier. My hands trembled as I opened his messages. There were the usual conversations, work, co-workers, his brother, his gym buddy, and then I saw a contact labeled simply A. Just the letter A. I opened it. What I saw made the room spin. Messages going back months, hundreds of them. A. Can't stop thinking about earlier today. You make me feel alive again. Kwame. You're incredible. I've never felt this way. A. What about Zora? Kwame. She doesn't have to know yet. We have to be smart. So, I hate sneaking around. I want to be with you properly, Kwame. Kwame. Soon, I promise. We just need to get everything in place first. I scrolled back further, my vision blurring with tears. A. Do you think she suspects anything? Kwame. She has no idea. She trusts me implicitly, and she'd never suspect you. Oh. Sometimes I feel guilty. She's my daughter. The phone slipped from my hands and clattered onto the tile floor. My daughter. My mother. Aisha. The shower turned off. I heard Kwame moving in the bathroom. I snatched the phone up with numb fingers and kept reading because I had to know it all. Kwame, have you thought more about the plan? A. Are you sure we can access her trust fund? Kwame, she has signatory power, but I'm her husband. I can convince her to sign anything. She trusts me. H. How much are we talking about? Kwame, $8 million. $8,000. Her father left it all to her. She's been holding on to it. Never touches it. She won't even realize it's gone until it's too late. And then, we'll have everything we need to start over together. We'll go somewhere she can never find us. Maybe Savannah. You always wanted to live in Savannah. A. And the divorce? Kwame, I'll file as soon as we secure the money. She can keep the house and her job. We don't need any of that. We just need the trust fund. I never thought I could feel this way again. Not after Robert died. Kwame, your husband would want you to be happy, Aisha. A. I am happy with you. I just wish we didn't have to hurt her. Kwame, she'll get over it. She's strong. And honestly, I stopped loving her a long time ago. I only stayed for the money. The bathroom door opened. I was standing there, phone in hand, as Kwame emerged in a towel. His eyes met mine, then dropped to the phone, and I watched his face change as he realized what I had seen. Zora. Hello, Mom, I whispered. You're sleeping with my mother, and you're plotting to steal my inheritance. He didn't deny it. He didn't scramble for an excuse. Instead, something cold settled onto his features. How much did you read? Enough. He nodded slowly. Then he laughed. A real sharp laugh. Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag. Is that all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Zora? That I'm sorry? That it didn't mean anything? He walked past me into the bedroom and started getting dressed. The truth is, Aisha and I have been together for almost a year, and yes, we were planning to take your money because, frankly, you don't deserve it. The cruelty in his voice broke something inside me. I don't deserve my own inheritance. You didn't earn it. Your daddy left it to you because you were his little princess. You've never had to work for anything in your life. Aisha and we've both struggled. We deserve that money more than you do. Aisha, I choked out. My mother, the woman who gave birth to me. Your mother is an incredible woman. She's passionate, vibrant, exciting, everything you're not. The words hit like body blows. And you, my voice trembled, you married me just for my money? No. He put on his shirt, buttoning it calmly. I married you because I thought I could love you. I thought you'd be a good wife. But you're boring, Zora. You're predictable. You're bland. Your mother? She's everything I wish you were. She's 25 years older than you. Age is just a number. Aisha looks better than half the women your age, and she knows how to make a man feel wanted, needed. You just exist. I felt like I was floating outside my body, watching this horror unfold. So what now? I asked. You're just going to leave me for my mother and run off with my money? Well, that was the plan. But since you found out, we'll have to speed things up. He pulled out his phone, typing something quickly. I'm texting Aisha. She needs to know you found out. No! But he had already sent the message. Seconds later, his phone rang. He answered it on speaker. She knows, he said without preamble. Oh dear. My mother's voice, familiar and foreign all at once. A long sigh. This is unfortunate. Mom, my voice cracked. How could you? Silence. Then, Zora. Honey, you wouldn't understand what Kwame and I have. It's special. It's real love. The kind of love I never had with your father. The kind of love you and Kwame didn't have either. He's my husband. A husband you were losing anyway. Be honest, Zora. When was the last time he made you feel beautiful? When was the last time he genuinely desired you? Because he was with me. Yes, but that should tell you something. He chose me despite everything. despite the age difference, despite the complications. He chose me because I'm simply better for him. Look, Aisha continued, her voice adopting a practical tone. Here's what's going to happen. Kwame is going to file for divorce. You're going to sign the papers without a fight, and you're going to transfer your trust fund to a joint account. Why on earth would I do that? Because if you don't, we'll make your life very difficult. Kwame has access to all your financial records, your passwords, your company accounts. We could destroy your credit, empty your personal accounts, make you look unstable. We could ruin you, Zora. That's extortion. It's survival. You have two options: cooperate and walk away with your dignity intact, or fight us and lose everything anyway, plus your reputation. I'll go to the police. And what will you tell them? That your husband is leaving you? That's not a crime. As for the romance, it's sordid, but legal. And as for the money, we haven't actually taken anything yet. You have no proof of intent that will stand up in court. They had thought of everything. So you're just going to take everything from me? My husband, my money, my life? Oh, honey, don't be so dramatic. You're young. You'll bounce back. You'll find another man. You'll build another life. But Kwame and I, we deserve this happiness. After everything we've both been through, we deserve it. You're my mother, I said, and my voice sounded like a lost child. How can you do this to me? For the first time, I heard emotion in her voice, but it wasn't remorse. Because for once in my life, I'm choosing what I want instead of what's expected of me. I spent 30 years in a loveless marriage with your father, pretending to be happy, playing the perfect wife and mother. And then he died, and he left everything to you. Everything. As if I was an afterthought. Do you know how that made me feel? Dad loved you. Your father tolerated me. But he adored you, his precious Zora. And when he died, he made sure you were taken care of. $8 million for his daughter, and you know what he left me? The house and an annuity. That's it, Mom. So yes, I am taking what should have been partly mine to begin with, and I am taking the man who actually wants me, who sees me, who makes me feel alive, and I am not going to feel guilty about it. She hung up. I looked at Kwame, who was watching me with something like pity in his eyes. I'll have my lawyer send you the divorce papers, he said, and the financial documents you need to sign. The sooner you cooperate, the sooner this will all be over. I'm not signing anything. He shrugged. Then we'll do it the hard way. Either way, Zora, you've already lost. Accept it. He picked up his briefcase and walked out of the bedroom. I heard him go downstairs. I heard the front door open and close, and then I was alone in the house that no longer felt like home. I don't remember much of the next few days. I called in sick to work. I stopped answering calls. I stopped eating. I just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every sign I'd missed. How long had they been plotting this? Was any of my marriage real? Did Kwame ever love me, even in the beginning? Simone finally showed up at my door, using the spare key I'd given her. Zora! My God, Zora! She found me in bed, still wearing the same clothes I'd had on for 3 days. The bedroom was dark, the curtains drawn. Sis, what happened? Talk to me. So I told her everything, and I watched her face go through the same progression of emotions I had experienced. Disbelief, nausea, rage. Your mother, she repeated. Your own mother, Zora. That is, I have no words. They want me to sign over my trust fund. I can't do that. You are not doing that. They're going to ruin me if I fight. Then we fight harder. Simone's jaw was tight. We are not letting them get away with this. I don't know how to fight this. Yes, you do. She grabbed my shoulders. She made me look at her. You are Zora Imani. You are smart, you are strong, and you are not letting these monsters win. But I felt anything but strong. The divorce papers arrived a week later, delivered by a messenger, along with documents to transfer my trust fund to a joint account in Kwame and Aisha's names. There was a card, too. An invitation. Gold embossed lettering on cream cardstock. Requests the pleasure of your company at the wedding of Aisha Sterling and Kwame Dubois. They had kept his married name, my married name, the name he had adopted when we married because he said he wanted us to be a real family. The wedding was scheduled for 3 months out. They weren't wasting any time. And at the bottom of the invitation, in my mother's handwriting, "Darling, it would mean so much to me if you were there. After all, you'll always be my daughter, no matter what." I stared at that invitation for hours, and something shifted inside me. The pain, the grief, the heartbreak, it all started to crystallize into something else, something harder, colder. Rage, pure, concentrated rage. They thought I was going to surrender and let them destroy me. They thought I would sign everything and disappear quietly. They thought I was weak. They had made a mistake. I called Simone. "I need your help," I said. "I need to hire a private investigator, a lawyer, a forensic accountant, and I need to do it without them ever knowing." "That's my girl." I could hear the smile in her voice. "We are going to set their world on fire." The first thing I did was secure my money. I met with my financial advisor, Marcus King, a man my father had trusted implicitly. "Marcus, I need to make some changes to my accounts." He immediately looked at me over his glasses. "What kind of changes?" "I need to freeze my trust fund, put in additional security measures, and do it in a way that looks like everything is normal until it's too late for anyone to stop it." "This is about your husband." It wasn't a question. Marcus had always been sharp. "Yes, he and my mother plan to divorce me and take it." "I'm sorry, Zora." "Don't be. Just to help me make sure he doesn't get a single penny of my inheritance." Marcus smiled. "It will be my pleasure." Over the next week, we quietly locked down every account. Marcus created new shell corporations, moved assets, set up trusts within trusts. The money was still technically mine, still accessible to me, but now it would take a team of lawyers months just to figure out where everything was, let alone access it. "Your father was a smart man," Marcus said when we finished. "He set up your fund with specific provisions to protect you from predatory marriages. All I did was activate those safeguards. If your husband tries to claim any of this in the divorce, he's going to hit a wall he can't climb." "And the papers he wants me to sign? The transfer documents?" "Sign them if you want. They're worthless. The accounts they reference no longer exist. By the time he realizes what has happened, the window to contest it will have expired." I felt my first real smile in weeks. Next, I hired a private investigator. His name was Darius Jones, and he came highly recommended by Simone's lawyer cousin. "I need everything," I told him. "Photos, video, financial records, phone records, emails. I need to know every place they meet, every time they've been together, every lie they've told." "You want to sink them in the divorce?" "I want to sink them permanently." Darius was thorough, terrifyingly thorough. Within 2 weeks, I had a file 4 inches thick. Photos of Kwame and Aisha at restaurants, hotels, strolling through Piedmont Park holding hands. Timestamps showing they had been seeing each other for over a year, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. Credit card records showing Kwame had been paying for hotel rooms, dinners, gifts, all on our joint credit card. My money funding their affair. Recovered text messages from backups, more explicit than what I had seen on his phone. Plans, schemes, detailed discussions about how to manipulate me, how to access my accounts, how to stage the divorce for maximum financial advantage. And then Darius found something I didn't expect. "Your mother has been meeting with a man named Tyrone Wells," Darius said, sliding a photo across the desk. "He's a financial consultant, not a reputable one, the kind who specializes in hiding money from the IRS, moving assets offshore, that kind of thing. Why would she need that?" "Because she and your husband plan to disappear. They've already purchased property in Portugal, in the Algarve, under a shell corporation. They're setting up a new life and they plan to be gone before the divorce is finalized. We can stop them. We can do better than that. We can make sure when they leave with nothing, and we can make sure everyone knows exactly what they did." "Tell me how." Darius smiled. First, we let them think everything is going according to plan. I signed the divorce papers. I signed them without complaint, without a lawyer present, exactly as Kwame had demanded. He looked surprised when I handed them over. "No fight?" he asked. "What for?" I said, letting my voice sound defeated. "You won. You, my mother. I just want this to be over. And the trust fund transfer, I'll sign that too. Just give me a few days to process everything." "Thank you, Zora. I know this is hard, but it's for the best." He actually sounded sincere, like he believed he was doing me a favor. I watched him leave with those signed papers, and I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just cold calculation. I signed the trust fund transfer documents 3 days later. I went to the bank with Kwame and Aisha. I played my part of the defeated ex-wife perfectly. My mother was radiant that day, happy. She actually hugged me before we went into the bank. "Thank you for being mature about this, honey. I know it hurts now, but one day you'll understand. One day you'll find someone who makes you feel the way Kwame makes me feel." I almost laughed. We sat in the bank manager's office. I signed the papers. I watched Kwame and Aisha try to hide their excitement as the manager processed the transfer. "The funds will be available in your joint account in 24 hours, the manager said. They thanked him. They thanked me. They walked out of that bank like they had just won the lottery, because in their minds, they had. That night, I met with Darius and Marcus. "Is it done?" I asked. "It's done," Marcus confirmed. "They signed papers to transfer funds from an account that no longer exists. The moment they try to access that money, they will find nothing. And because they signed documentation acknowledging what they were taking, they have essentially confessed to attempted theft. And their property in Portugal? We've been in contact with the Portuguese authorities. Turns out your mother's financial consultant, Tyrone Wells, is wanted for fraud in 3 countries. The property they bought is part of an ongoing investigation. It will be seized the moment they try to claim it." "So they'll have nothing?" "Less than nothing. They'll owe money to lawyers, the Portuguese government, and potentially face criminal charges." "Good." I turned to Darius. "And the other thing?" "It's all set. I've compiled all the evidence into a complete dossier. Tomorrow morning, it will be delivered to their employers, their families, their friends. Everyone will know exactly what they did." "They'll both lose their jobs?" I asked. "Your husband's architectural firm has a morality clause. A romance with a client's relative, which your mother technically was when she was visiting his office, is grounds for immediate termination. Your mother's civic club, where she volunteers and socializes, will receive a very detailed packet about her activities. These places don't like scandal." I should have felt guilty. I should have felt something other than satisfaction, but I didn't. The wedding invitation was still on my fridge. 3 months had turned into 2, then into 1, and suddenly it was their wedding week. Kwame had completely moved out to an apartment he'd rented with money he thought he'd stolen from me. Aisha had been calling, trying to maintain some semblance of a mother-daughter relationship, but I had been dodging her calls. "Zora, please pick up. I want you at my wedding. I want my daughter there." Her voice messages made me sick. Simone thought I should skip it. "You don't need to witness that farce," she said. "You've already won. Let them have their pathetic wedding and then watch their world crumble." But I needed to be there. I needed to see their faces. I needed them to see mine. "I'm going," I told her. "I want to look them in the eye one last time before it all falls apart." The wedding was scheduled for Saturday afternoon at the estate, an expensive venue just outside Atlanta. 200 guests, full ceremony, reception, the works. They hadn't spared any expense. Why would they? They thought they had $8 million to play with. I bought a dress for the occasion, simple, elegant, black. Funeral attire, because I was attending a death, the death of who they used to be. Saturday morning, I woke up calm, eerily calm. I had spent the last 3 months planning, preparing, setting all the pieces in place. Today, those pieces would fall. I drove to the estate alone. I arrived early while they were still setting up. No one questioned my presence. I was the bride's daughter, after all. I took a seat in the last row of the garden where the ceremony was being held. White chairs set in perfect rows, an arch covered in roses at the front, classical music playing softly over the speakers. It would have been beautiful if it wasn't so obscene. The guests started to arrive. I recognized some of them, my mother's friends from her civic club, Kwame's colleagues from work, distant relatives who probably had no idea what was really going on. The officiant took his place. The music shifted to something more formal, and then the groom appeared. Kwame walked down the aisle with his best man. He looked handsome in his tux, happy, excited. He saw me sitting in the back row, and his steps faltered for a moment, but then he smiled, a smug, victorious grin. He thought I was there to show I was okay with everything, that I had accepted my fate. He had no idea. The music swelled, everyone stood, and my mother appeared at the end of the aisle. Aisha Sterling, in a white wedding gown, not ivory, not cream, but pure white, strapless, fitted, with a long train. Her hair was styled in elegant curls. Diamond earrings, my father's last gift to her, glittered in her ears. She looked beautiful, radiant, 20 years younger, and she walked toward the altar, toward my husband. I watched her make her way down that aisle, her eyes locked on Kwame. As she passed my row, she looked at me and smiled, not a warm smile, not an apologetic one. It was triumphant. It said, "I won." I smiled back, because she had no idea what was coming. The ceremony began. The officiant spoke of love, of second chances, of two souls finding each other against all odds. I wanted to laugh or vomit, maybe both. If anyone has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. The traditional words floated in the air. I felt every eye in the place turn to me for a second, waiting to see if I would object. I didn't say a thing. The ceremony continued. They exchanged vows. They put on rings. "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." Kwame kissed my mother, long, passionate, inappropriate for the venue. Some of the older guests looked uncomfortable. I just watched. They broke apart, both glowing with happiness. The officiant presented them to the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Dubois." Applause erupted. They walked back up the aisle together, hand in hand, smiling at their guests. As they passed me, my mother reached out and squeezed my hand. "Thank you for coming, honey," she whispered. "It means everything to me." The reception was held in the ballroom of the estate. Champagne flowed, dinner was served, the cake was cut. The first dance, the toasts. I sat at a table in the corner with a glass of wine, watching it all. Kwame's best man gave a toast about love conquering all obstacles. One of my mother's friends spoke about how brave Aisha was to follow her heart. No one mentioned the obvious. No one acknowledged that the groom had been married to the bride's daughter until 3 months ago. And then my mother stood up to give a speech. "I want to thank everyone for being here today," she said, her voice ringing through the room. "I know this situation is unconventional, but when you find true love, you can't let it go just because it's complicated." She looked at Kwame with such adoration, my stomach churned. Kwame has shown me that it's never too late to start over, that age is just a number, that happiness is possible even after loss, even after years of settling for less than you deserve. She raised her glass. "To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," the room echoed. I didn't drink. As the reception progressed, I finally stood up and walked over to where Kwame and Aisha were talking to guests. "Can I speak to you both?" I asked quietly. "Just for a moment." They exchanged glances, then nodded. We moved to a quiet corner of the ballroom. "I just wanted to congratulate you," I said, my voice steady. "You both got exactly what you wanted." "Zora," my mother began. "No, really. You played your game perfectly. The romance, the manipulation, the theft of my inheritance. You did everything so well." Kwame's jaw tightened. "We're not talking about this here." "Oh yes, we are. Because I want you to know something. That money you think you took from me, The $8 million in your joint account? They were both staring at me now. It's gone. What are you talking about? Aisha's voice was sharp. The account you transferred the funds from? I closed it 2 months ago. The papers you signed are worthless. The money you think you have has vanished, hidden in places you will never find. Kwame's face went white. You can't do that. I already did. And that's not all. The property you bought in Portugal? It's being seized as we speak. Turns out your financial consultant is a criminal, Tyrone Wells, and everything he helped you buy is part of a federal investigation. Your mother grabbed my arm. What have you done? What you taught me to do, Mother. Look out for myself. Protect what's mine. I pulled free. Oh, and one more thing. Tomorrow morning, everyone you know is receiving a complete dossier, photos of you two together, text messages plotting my destruction, financial records proving you tried to steal from me. Your employers, your friends, your family, they will all know exactly who you are. You little vindictive bitch, Aisha hissed. I learned from the best. I smiled at her. Congratulations on your marriage. I hope you enjoy being broke together. I turned and walked away. Zora! Kwame yelled behind me. Zora, wait! But I kept walking, out of the ballroom, through the lobby, and into the parking lot. I heard shouting behind me. Kwame and Aisha arguing, her voice rising to a shriek, his desperate and angry, the sounds of their perfect day unraveling. I got into my car and drove away, and for the first time in months, I felt light, free. The fallout was spectacular. On Monday morning, Kwame called me 17 times. I didn't answer. He finally left a voicemail. Zora, please, we need to talk. There's been a mistake with the accounts. The bank says the funds aren't there. It has to be some kind of error. Call me back, please. On Tuesday, Aisha showed up at my house. I watched her through the window as she pounded on the door. Zora, open this door. We need to talk about this misunderstanding. I stayed inside. She finally left. On Wednesday, I received notification that Kwame's architectural firm had terminated his contract. The official reason was a breach of professional ethics. The unofficial reason was the dossier Darius had sent them, complete with proof that Kwame had been using company time and resources to carry on his affair. On Thursday, Aisha's Civic Club revoked her membership. Apparently, the board had held an emergency meeting after receiving certain documents. Adultery with a daughter's husband was not the kind of scandal they wanted associated with their establishment. On Friday, I got a call from Darius. The Portuguese authorities have seized the property. Tyrone Wells has been arrested. Your mother and Kwame are listed as persons of interest in the investigation. They aren't being charged yet, but they are definitely going to be questioned. How much money did they lose? They put $200,000 into that property. It's gone, seized as evidence. $200,000. My money from our joint credit card that Kwame had diverted to their escape plan. Can I get it back? I'm already on it. We're documenting everything as fraud. You'll get it back. By the second week after the wedding, the social consequences were total. Everyone knew. And I mean everyone. My mother's friends from the Civic Club stopped talking to her. Kwame's colleagues refused to return his calls. Distant relatives who had attended the wedding started messaging my mother, expressing their disgust. The narrative had completely flipped. I was no longer the pathetic, jilted wife. I was the victim of a cruel betrayal by the two people who should have protected me, and Kwame and Aisha were pariahs. I heard through mutual acquaintances that they were fighting constantly. The stress of losing everything, jobs, money, reputation, was destroying their relationship faster than they had built it. Turns out, love built on lies and theft doesn't survive when the consequences hit. 3 weeks after the wedding, I came home from work and found Kwame sitting on the steps of my porch. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, clothes wrinkled. Zora, he said, standing up as I approached. Please, just 5 minutes. I should have gone inside and locked the door. I should have called the police for trespassing, but I wanted to hear this. 5 minutes, I said. We sat down on the steps, not touching, an abyss between us that felt wider than the Grand Canyon. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "I know that doesn't mean anything now, but I'm sorry for everything." "You're sorry you got caught." "No, I'm sorry I did it. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I threw away something real for something that was never going to work." "It's not going well with my mother?" He laughed bitterly. "Your mother is furious that the money is gone. It's all she talks about, how I promised her a new life and I can't deliver. She's threatening to divorce me. We're not even a month into the marriage." I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no pity, nothing. "Why are you telling me this?" "I need your help. The money, Zora. I know you moved it somewhere. We need it. Not for Portugal, not for running away. We need it just to survive. I can't find work. No firm will touch me after what happened. Aisha can't work because everyone knows what she did. We're broke. We're going to lose the apartment. We have nothing." "You have each other," I said. "Isn't that what you wanted? True love? Zora, please, I'm begging you. Not for me. For her. She's your mother." "She stopped being my mother when she slept with my husband." "Zora, don't." I stood up. "You both made your choices. You chose to betray me, to steal from me, to destroy me. And now you face the consequences. That is not my problem. What do you want from us? What will it take for you to help?" "I don't want anything from you. I want you both out of my life." "So that's it? You're just going to let us crash and burn?" "Yes, because it's exactly what you deserve." I walked to my door, opened it, and went inside. I didn't look back. A month later, I heard they had filed for divorce. Aisha was citing emotional distress and financial fraud. Kwame was countersuing her for defamation. They were destroying each other, doing my work for me. 2 months later, my mother showed up at my place of work. She looked old. That was the first thing I noticed. The stress had aged her drastically. Her hair was graying at the roots. Her face was etched with exhaustion. "Zora, please, I need to talk to you. I'm working. 5 minutes, please. I'm your mother." We went to a nearby coffee shop. We sat across from each other in a booth by the window. "I've lost everything," she said without preamble. "My house is in foreclosure. I have no income, no friends. I'm about to be homeless." "How unfortunate." "Zora, I am begging you. You won. You won. You destroyed both of us. Just please give me something to live on. A small allowance. Enough for an apartment? Please." I looked at this woman who gave birth to me, who raised me, whom I had loved unconditionally for 30 years, and I felt nothing. "You once told me that Dad only left you the house and an annuity when he died," I said quietly. "That he left everything else to me. Do you remember that?" "Yes." "Do you know why he did it?" "Because he always loved you more, didn't he?" "No. Because he knew exactly who you were. He knew you were selfish. He knew you'd waste the money on yourself, on status, on appearances. So he protected his assets by leaving them to me. And he was right to do it." Tears ran down Aisha's face. "He also knew that one day you might turn on me," I continued. "He warned me once when I was in college. He said, 'Zora, your mother loves you, but she loves herself more. Remember that.' I didn't understand what he meant then. I do now. Please, no. You made your choices. You destroyed your own life, and I am not going to save you from yourself. What am I supposed to do?" "The same thing you told me to do when you were stealing my life. Pick yourself up. Get a job. Build something new. You're young, right? That's what you said. Age is just a number." I stood up. "Zora, please, I'm your mother." "No," I said, looking down at her. "You stopped being my mother the day you betrayed me. Now you're just Aisha Sterling, a stranger who made terrible decisions. And I don't owe strangers anything." I walked out of that coffee shop and never looked back. A year later, I'm sitting in my new office at the publishing house. I was promoted to senior editor 6 months ago. My life is full, rich, complete. I bought a new house, smaller than the one I shared with Kwame, But it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every picture, every mug in the kitchen, chosen by me, for me. I've been dating someone. His name is Leo. He's kind, he's honest, and we're taking it slow. He knows my story, he knows what I've been through, and he's patient with the walls I've built. I'm not ready to marry again. Maybe I never will be, but I'm okay with that. I heard Kwame moved back to his hometown in Alabama, working construction, living with his brother. His dreams of being a renowned architect are dead. Aisha is working part-time at a department store. She lives in a studio apartment in a rough part of town. I heard she tried to contact her sister, but her family wants nothing to do with her after what she did. They both lost everything, their reputation, their careers, their money, their dignity, and I didn't have to lift another finger after that wedding. They destroyed themselves, because that's what happens to people who build their happiness on someone else's pain. It never lasts. The foundation is rotten, and eventually, the whole thing comes tumbling down. Some people think I should forgive them, that holding on to anger is bad for me, that I should let it go and move on. But here is what I learned. Forgiveness is not owed to people who haven't earned it. Moving on doesn't mean pretending something didn't happen. I moved on by building a new life, by reclaiming my power, by refusing to let their betrayal define me. They wanted to break me, take everything, and leave me empty. Instead, I broke them, not with violence or ongoing revenge, but by simply protecting myself and letting them face the consequences of their actions. That's what they couldn't anticipate, that the quiet, bland, boring Zora they thought they could crush had a spine of steel. I learned something profound through all of this. Pain can be transformative. Betrayal can be instructive, and sometimes the worst thing that ever happened to you becomes the catalyst for you to become the person you were always meant to be. I am not the same woman who came home early from work to find her husband with her mother. That woman was naive, trusting, willing to doubt herself before she doubted them. The woman I am now is different, harder, wiser, unbreakable, and I am grateful for it. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that wedding, standing at the back of that garden, watching my mother walk toward the altar, toward my husband. In that moment, I could have collapsed. I could have screamed and cried and made a scene. But I didn't, because I knew something they didn't. The moment they betrayed me, they lost. They just didn't know it yet. And watching them figure it out, watching their perfect plan crumble, watching their relationship implode under the weight of their own corruption, that was the sweetest revenge of all. Not because I'm cruel, but because justice sometimes wears the face of karma. And karma is patient, it is thorough, and it never forgets. My name is Zora Imani. This is my story, and I am still here, still standing, still thriving while they burn in the ashes of the life they tried to steal. Did you like the story, and which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.